All right, and we are broadcasting indeed. And whilst we're waiting for people to join, I'd like to welcome you to the Innovation of Products and Services, MIT's Approach to Design Thinking pre-course information session. I can see we are joined by Adi, Amosh, Bachiva, Corinne, Susan. Welcome to everyone who is joining us. Stefan, you are more than welcome to say hello via the chat. It's a good chance to practice your chat as well. Make sure that your two is set to all panelists and attendees. That way everyone else who's joining our session today will be able to see your comments as well. So feel free to say a quick hello. You can even pop in into chat your city and country so we know where you are connecting to us from. Hopefully everyone is doing well and is healthy and safe, as well as your families. All right, so just give me a quick hello there, so I can see that you are connected, and you can use the chat. Wonderful. I can see people are using the chat. That's great. Hello, Adi from Jakarta, Indonesia. Welcome, Adi. Apa kabar? Salamat. I hope you're doing well. And we are ready to begin. Okay, fantastic. And I can see we've got people joining from Nigeria, from Kenya, and this is from Milan as well. Just another quick tip to everybody. If you do want other people who are joining us, other participants to see your comments, please go down to your default where it says to all panelists and change that to all panelists and attendees, and that way everyone else will be able to see it and not just you. Welcome to Jitendra. Namaskar to you from Nepal. Wonderful. Terima kasih banyak to Adi. Okay, let's get straight into it. So we are, first of all, I'm going to assume that you are all familiar with Zoom, but hopefully you are not suffering from any audio issues, and you can see the screen well, and you can hear me well as well. And I can see that you are using chat. If anyone still is new to Zoom, it means probably you have been using some other tools during the COVID-19 crisis, but I'm guessing everyone should be familiar with Zoom by now. Wonderful. We have a clear image. Sound is clear. Everyone is present and accounted for. Let's roll right into it. So what will we look at today? What I want to do with you is take you through the MIT Executive Education course of design thinking and give you a bit more than the dry facts, and also, of course, answer your questions. I'm going to leave some time at the end for questions, but if you have some burning question that you want to get answered about the academic content of the course, then do ask. We also are very lucky. We have a top field of program support engineers and support staff with us, and they will be answering all of your logistical questions. So any questions about the length of course, when it starts, when it ends, although I will give you some information about that as well, you can direct it via chat, and you can be assured that someone from program support will come and answer you. All right, I can see still a whole bunch of you are on set to all panelists. That's fine. Just remember that only I can see, only myself and support can see messages written to all panelists. If you want to communicate with your fellow participants here on the session, do switch to all panelists and attendees, and that will just give you a much greater connection to everyone here. All right, so a few words about myself. I've been a course leader with Emeritus for over the last 3.5 years. I'm very proud to say that I've been doing that whilst also consulting to top corporate organizations and teaching at university, both at UNSW, a university that's in Sydney, where I'm based here in Australia, and also teaching at a number of universities overseas as well, as you can see. And of course, being very, very lucky to have tier 1 customers in design thinking, as well as innovation management, customers, including such customers as Ernst & Young, as Hero Group India, and Intel, Perpetual here in Australia, and a number of tier one companies. So very, very happy to be sharing with you throughout the course my experiences, not only from an academic point of view, but also from a corporate and organizational and government training point of view as well. I have an MBA in Innovation and Entrepreneurship from the IDC Herzliya University, and my undergraduate was in law and in economics and marketing. I've been doing innovation management for about 10 years, and my main unique value, if you like, that I bring to you and to this course is that beyond knowing design thinking and working with design thinking, I actually managed the innovation department, internal innovation department for a corporate multinational of 26,000 people. About a quarter of those people are based in India, the rest are based all over the world. So that's another aspect that I think is phenomenal. Once you get into innovation, you get into design thinking, is it really increases your connectivity to other people who are doing this around the world. All right, wonderful. So let's talk a little bit about your academic faculty. Professor Steve Ettinger is really a hero of innovation. He's the General Motors lead for global operations. He's professor of management at MIT. He wrote numerous books. You are more than welcome to Google the work that he's done. And find out some really interesting facts about really why this professor is one of the leading professors of design thinking today in the world. About Emeritus. So Emeritus partners with really the top universities, with Ivy League and Ivy League level universities, including MIT, including Columbia, including Dartmouth, including top universities now in England and in Europe as well, to bring you the best of the best courses that are most relevant to your continued executive education. Just one moment. Excuse me for that. And you can also see that the other great thing is that out of the 50,000 students that have already gone through the MIT executive education courses here with Emeritus, you can see that the global spread is very wide. We've had students from all the continents, including Australia. For some reason, Australia is not here with that little dot on it, but I can tell you there's always about a few people that are joining from Australia as well. But also you can see from Europe, from India, from Africa, from South Africa as well, even though that's not shown here, and a lot from Southeast Asia, North America and South America. So really one of the great advantages of doing this course is that you, when you do work in teams and you have a mixture of team and individual assignments, as we'll talk about shortly, you actually get to work with professionals, experienced professionals in your team who are based in different countries. And that's a great experience, especially now during the COVID-19, where everyone is moving towards working online. This will only strengthen and help your online team working skills in a highly desired professional subject of design thinking. So unlike, and I just want to say, Ishan, welcome, Ishan Manhandar, and like anyone else, if you are saying hello to everyone, make sure that you have switched from all panelists to all panelists and attendees. So Ishan, only I am able to see your messages at the moment. So if, like Ishan, you are set to all panelists, please switch to all panelists and attendees, and that way everyone can see what you're saying. Welcome, Ishan from Kathmandu. Namaskar. Very proud to have, we're very happy to have you with us. So what you can see here is that beyond just having great lectures and great guest live lecturers who are industry experts, including industry experts from specifically in this course from some really top companies. We have one from the company that brings us the Nescafe capsules and machines, and we also have very powerful videos from our MIT lecturers. You'll also be doing work that's, as we said before, that's team-based, and you'll also have a chance to do individual assignments. You'll have quizzes, and you'll have discussions. You really will have multiple methods of learning and multiple channels of learning as well. Course completion at Emeritus is above 85%. So if you put in the hard work and you make sure you watch all the videos, participate in discussions, take the quizzes, attend office hours and additional webinars, then you will certainly do very well in this course. All right, so in summary, this is a 2-month online course that's going to be partly live and partly recorded, but with a very strong live emphasis, especially during the webinars and office hours that we have. And we will be grading your assignments, especially your team assignments, and you will find the work demanding, but very rewarding as well, especially since you get to work on projects that you choose and that you can, some teams decide to actually take them further and take them further beyond the course into the real world. And so we're all, of course, very supportive of that, especially through the Emeritus Alumni organization, which I will talk about very shortly as well. You can see that over the 8 weeks of the course, we take you through the main design thinking tools and skills. And I want to show you that here. Hopefully you can read that, and that font is not too small for you. But really what this cycle is showing us is the parts that make up the 3 gateways of design thinking. And those 3 gateways, you may have heard them before. They're called real, win, and worth it. And I'll quickly introduce them to you because I think it's very worth knowing, worthwhile knowing what these are, because once you understand this, this is really at the heart of design thinking. When I was starting my first startup, I would say maybe 18, 17 years ago, way before the lean startup concept was created. By the way, for those of you who have not read the lean startup, it's not a prerequisite for this course, okay? But it is a great book for you to read because design thinking brings the lean startup into action. And the lean startup, I know it's not coming out very well because I have the video background, but if you haven't read it yet, the lean startup by Eric Rice, and I'll just type that out for you here, is highly recommended. Even though he doesn't teach you design thinking, what you find is that design thinking is an implementation of the philosophy in the lean startup. And the philosophy basically says that just because you think you have a great idea, and you and your friends think that you have a world winner, guess what? That may not actually be true. You need to go out into the market. You need to go out into the field, and you need to speak to, by the way, do you think that you would only speak to customers? Let's say you have a business and you want to create a new business from it, or that you want to create a startup. Would you only be speaking to your potential customers, or what other stakeholders do you think would be really relevant for you to speak to understand why products and services aren't delivering the real needs that customers have out there? So just a quick question, have a think about it. Who beyond customers? Industry experts, sure, industry experts can give you a lot of information. I'm thinking more about stakeholders, and I'll define stakeholders. Stakeholders are individuals or groups that influence or get influenced by what you do. Absolutely, suppliers. Thank you, Maria. So suppliers is a crucial one. So apart from customers, you want to speak to suppliers, because if you're going to have a supply problem or unreliable suppliers, that's obviously going to affect the quality of the solution and product that you can give. Competitors, okay, and by the way, some of you are still set to all panelists and no one can see your answers but me, but yes, competitors, definitely I would speak to. Users, yes, mainly users. So who have we got? Suppliers, we spoke about competitors, government. So absolutely, government, because of regulation, is a key stakeholder. It can very much affect what you do, and you'll want to speak to the government as well, or at least you want to research what the government regulations are, because you may want to lobby. If you're strong enough, if you have enough money, and you find that the regulations are not helping you, or they're hindering you from doing what you want, then lobby. If you can get enough money from your VC that will allow you to lobby politicians to change the regulations, then great. If you don't, often we saw recently 2 major unicorn marketplace startups get battered by regulators, right? Who did we see? Who are the two famous marketplace startups that we saw getting beat up by regulators all around the world? Any ideas? Uber, absolutely. Thank you, Susan. So Uber was getting beaten up, especially because of pushback from the taxi industry and because of issues of safety, sexual assault that was happening on Uber. And there was one more really famous startup, Airbnb, right? Airbnb was getting beaten up by regulators. For example, in New York City, you cannot rent Airbnb for less than 30 days. In other words, you can't have short rentals. And that's mainly due to pressure from the hotel industry, which lobbied to stop Airbnb being able to run its business in New York. So you can see how important government regulation is, and you can agree with me that government regulators is an important stakeholder that you'll want to understand. So having said all that, I just want to recap what we've got here. We've got 3 gateways that we want to get through, and the real gateway is the one that relates to the book that I was talking about. And let's see if I can get it without it fading away. Here we go. Yes, that's it, the Lean Startup. So what I wanted to show with that is that one of the major things that Eric says there is that they were working for 6 months trying to develop the best computer software, but everything they were doing was based on the wrong assumptions. And as a result, when they came out with their major pilot, they were in for a rude shock that basically everything that they've been developing for the last 6 months was based on the wrong ideas and had to be reworked at a huge cost, obviously, when you're developing a huge product with hundreds of software developers. So what Eric Ries understood in the Lean Startup and what design thinking implements of that philosophy is that you can't just go and create a new product or a service or an improved product or service just because you feel that it's going to work, just because of a gut feeling. Gut feeling doesn't cut it in here, even though obviously intuition is important in business. So real, three gateways, I'll quickly take you through them. Real means there's a real need from your customers or from users out there for your product, your service, or it could be also a real need by internal customers. And when I speak about internal customers, obviously, who am I speaking about? Who are your internal customers? Everyone understand what I mean by internal customers? Who are they? If you have external and internal customers. Yeah, exactly, your employees. There is a great, if you look up design thinking and Coca-Cola, there is a great YouTube video. You can find it. It may not be on YouTube, maybe on what competitor, but if you look up on Google the video of design thinking and Coca-Cola. There's a great video where Coca-Cola explains how they use design thinking internally, and they treat their staff members as customers. So they treat them as internal customers. And obviously, if you can better understand the real needs of your staff members and make their life easier, make their processes more sensible and more lean, then you can definitely also improve the life of your customer, because you will bring costs down, you will bring time to market down, you'll increase the experience that your employees go through. That will help you increase the quality of the experience that your customers will go through. And by the way, the same thing with suppliers. If you can understand the real needs of your suppliers, you can work with suppliers that bring you your inputs faster. You can get the cost down if you can create a better relationship with them, and of course that will reverberate throughout your business. All right, so that's real. That's about there being a real need for whatever it is that you're doing. Win is talking about feasibility, right? Is it feasible? So just because somebody wants a time machine doesn't mean that I can create a time machine. Just because somebody wants to have a 7-star service in a hotel doesn't mean we're able to provide that. So we have to think about whether it's feasible to provide the product or service or process that we want to provide to our users. So is it technologically feasible, and are we doing a better job than competitors? If we can't do a better job than our competitors, then why would the customer choose us? Some of you will say, well, because we're cheaper, because we're doing it for a lower price. But then, you know, if you end up competing purely by price, you're not innovating, are you? You're just cutting down to become one of the lower level suppliers of that good or service, and you're not going to really be innovating. If you've got a very low price, you don't have enough funds coming in that allow you to R&D. You'll just be copying other companies all the time. All right, so that's win. And the final one, worth it. So in worth it, we're talking about viability. Is the project financially viable? There's a need for it. We know we can do it. We know we can do it better than the competition, but now we will check whether it's financially viable. Now, does anyone know what the standard financial tool for checking financial viability in design thinking is? Or has anyone here has anyone here done any finance or maybe done an MBA or is familiar? NPV, thank you, wonderful. ROI is looked at as well. Katya, you're absolutely right. But the main tool is NPV. NPV, for who are not familiar with, relates to net present value, and that's connected to discounted cash flow, as Sayantan Roy is saying. But again, Sayantan, people can't see your comments because you are still set to all panelists, as are you, Benjamin. So I can see some people here have a finance and MBA background. That's great. Don't worry if you don't. So if you're not coming from a financial background, that's totally fine, because we will bring you up to speed in terms of everything you need to do for using NPV analysis. All right, so good. There's people here who understand that. All right, what I want to do right now is take you through a little exercise. I'm going to show you a video, and you will see what the video is about. What I want you to do is please get a pen and paper out. I'm hoping that you have a pen and paper in front of you already so you can jot some notes, even though this deck that you're seeing now will be available to you, and the link will be sent to you via program support. But in either case, I'd like you to get a pen and paper out, if you can, please. And as you're watching this short video, I want you to think about, don't think about solutions yet. So one of the common problems we find, and this is something that happens constantly with my customers, my corporate customers, and a lot of managers make this mistake in business and in government as well, and that is they are so sure they know what the the solution is to a problem, that they think the design thinking process is simply a way of understanding how to implement the solution that they have in here. Okay, but guess what? It doesn't work that way, because the whole philosophy of design thinking says, let's first of all understand the needs of our stakeholders. And when I'm going to say customers and users, but you will remember that when I say customers and users, I'm actually including employees, suppliers, government regulators, partners, and all of those other stakeholders as well. But I will just say the word customers and users. So have a look at this video. As you're watching it, jot down what are the needs, especially the unmet needs. So what are the needs of this employee of this company, or the freelancer that we're going to watch? Spoiler, he's a bike courier, but you're going to see that in a moment. What are the needs that are the most important needs that you feel are not being met? Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to switch across to the video, and as I'm doing that, as those ideas are coming to it, you can jot them down, but you can also put them into chat. So type into chat as you're watching the video, what are the unmet needs based on your observations of this bike courier? So let's do that. Let's switch the share, and we'll share the video. Here we go. And let's watch that.
Yeah, I'm headed there now. Okay, on my way. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's why no talk on the phone when you're.
All right. So what happened? What did this courier need that would make his life so much better? Security, absolutely. Thank you, Maria. Security and safety. He was not safe and he was not secure. I absolutely agree with that. What else? Earphones and a visual display. So that's a specific solution, Stefan. So it's great. This is really great. We're really getting some wonderful stuff here. So there are two types of ways you can answer this. What is the need? You can say, what is a need, like security, or you can start giving solutions for how to give him security, like Bluetooth hand-free. He doesn't necessarily need Bluetooth hand-free. He needs a way of communicating hands-free. Probably it will be Bluetooth, right? He's got transportation problems, as Camilla is writing. So he needs help in his transportation. He needs help in being able to navigate, right? He needs to be more efficient. So one of the first lessons you learn in design thinking is that we don't look at what solutions should we be providing. We look at what the problems are, and we define what the needs are. So it's very tempting, because we all do it, to run to solutions. And I have some great video that I will share with you during the webinars of the program to show that. It's very tempting to think, here's how I'm going to solve this guy's problems, right? I'm going to give him what he needs is a GPS navigation system, and what he needs is mirrors. And that's all. He doesn't have mirrors, right? He doesn't even have mirrors on his bike. So not a very safe situation. But instead of explaining exactly how we're going to solve these problems, we're going to take a step back. And we're going to say, before we do that, let's really understand his needs. Let's understand what his needs are, especially the needs that are not being met. If we do that, if we take a breath and understand our stakeholders' needs, we're in a much better position to design a solution, or a better product, or a better service, or some better process that will solve those needs and help that customer be much happier, and obviously choose us instead of our competitors for that service or that product. Does that make sense? Any questions about that, about the difference between understanding solutions and understanding needs, because it's a really important aspect, which you'd be surprised people still get wrong, and a lot of managers get wrong as well. And a lot of design thinking that I came across that was done by my customers beforehand, when they didn't use professional consulting and they tried to do it themselves, was ultimately failed, because they didn't concentrate on needs. They didn't understand that the first step is real. Is there a real need? And they went straight away into implementing a solution. Yeah, and maybe a solution for safety is a bike lane, Adi. You're right, maybe, but we don't know that. So at this point in time, we're going to wait with our solutions, and we're going to bring in the solutions later. Drone technology, sure, and again, no one can see this answer by Morn, because Morn, you are set to all panelists instead of panelists, still Benjamin and a bunch of you, but maybe there's a need for maybe there's a drone can be a solution, but he doesn't need a drone. It's not like he's riding there on his bike saying, hey, I wish I had a drone. No, he's riding on his bike saying, hey, I wish this car wasn't cutting me off, or hey, I wish I knew where I was going. So that's, if you're going to take one lesson from this meeting, then with me today, this webinar, the lesson should be start with needs and problems, don't start with solutions. Maria is asking, what happens when consumers are not aware of their needs? That's a fantastic question. We actually have a term for that. And that term of not being aware of your need, MIT came up with a term. This is fantastic. Thank you, Maria, for asking this question. It's called latent need, or latent needs. Latent needs are needs that even the consumer still hasn't figured out that they need. And how do you think we can understand what those needs are if the customer themselves are not aware of their needs? Any ideas? Because that's really one of the things that come to the heart of the magic and beauty of design thinking, and how design thinking is able to help us solve that. How would you try and understand latent needs? Empathy. So empathy is super important, and empathy is a really, really big part. Thank you, Ishan. Of design thinking. And through empathy interviews, so we will learn, you will have a webinar on empathy interviews, and through empathy interviews, you will learn how to get closer to the stakeholder, again, I will say customer, to the customer's real needs. Curiosity, our empathy, our curiosity, but the real answer I was looking for, Maria, are you a design thinking expert? It looks like you know quite a bit about design thinking. So in that case, you're very intuitive, and your answers, I have to commend you, have been spot on. So well done. Observations. So when two main ways of getting information from stakeholders is through interviewing them face-to-face. Today, can be a bit difficult, and sometimes that face-to-face is changed to Zoom because of coronavirus situation. But where it's possible, we always prefer face-to-face. And observations. Why? Because observations will give us a lot of information about what that customer needs, which they don't even realize themselves. So they may not realize that as they're running their bike, you know, and that courier, think about that courier having now to run to the lobby, right? He can't take the bike with him. He has to leave the bike outside. So what does he do? He now has to find a safe way. Well, does he tie the bike up with a chain to run in? Does he ask someone to look after it? That's a real problem, right? And if you ask the bike courier, you know, what's your biggest problem when you arrive at your destination, they may not say to you security of what to do with my bike to make sure my bike isn't stolen. But if you look at them and you watch them trying to find a safe place to put the bike whilst they run up to the lobby, you can say, voila, this gentleman or this lady, whoever the courier is, they've got a problem to do with securing their bike at that stage. And that's something you would only find out during observation. So thank you, Maria, spot on. All right, so we saw that if we ask questions about what this courier is doing, where they're going, what they're wearing, the condition of the road, we can start seeing that there are a bunch of needs, right? The needs and you guys have said it, the needs include navigation, being able to speak hands-free, being able to get all this in a way that's low cost, because bike careers normally are not very rich, and they need to keep their costs down so they can make some money, because they are part of the gig economy. Okay, we see them a lot in Sydney, especially when Uber Eats delivering Uber meals to people. I don't know if you have Uber Eats in your country, but in Sydney, especially in Bondi, where I live, there are a lot of bike couriers riding around delivering food in all sorts of weather, in very hot weather, in rainy weather, in very difficult conditions. Okay, so just to show you this was a real project by one of the teams taking this course. You can see some of the sketches that they've done. We call this prototyping, or early stage prototyping. And you can see they've done some pretty nice 2D sketching. This is something that you'll learn to do as well. Use prototyping for describing the user experience, user interface, and any hardware you need to create as well. Okay, you can see the finished product as it was created at the end of this course. All right, I think this is a good spot. We're about just over halfway through, a good spot to take a little breather and see if there's any questions that have accumulated before we move on to the next section of this webinar. So anyone has any questions, that can be, if you have questions that are logistical, I will be more than happy to pass them on to program support. Do you have any questions about design thinking, or trying to understand how design thinking fits into innovation management? I'll be more than happy to answer those as well. Sophie has just asked, can you use design thinking for restructuring of a department? Wow, that's a great question. I wouldn't use that as the only tool for restructuring, but I would definitely use design thinking as one of the tools, and that tool that I would use design thinking, and I think a lot of you are thinking about this together with me, would be, first of all, of course, it would depend on the department, but that department is there to serve some needs, right? So department, if it's a back office department, it will be serving internal customers, and if it's a front office or a customer facing department, like customer sales representatives, for example, so customer support, they will be predominantly speaking to customers. So if you're restructuring your customer support department, then you will very much want to use design thinking, because you'll want to understand what the processes are that your CSRs, your customer support representatives, are going through, as well as what the reactions are from your customers. And so you will actually use design thinking both on the employees and on your users to get a much better idea of where the problems are. So when you are restructuring, whether it's a digital transformation of the department, or whether it's any other aspect, then you will definitely be using design thinking. So yes, Sophie, the answer is absolutely yes. Hyacinth is asking, what is the difference between this program and the postgraduate program in a diploma in design thinking and innovation? So the main difference is that this is a course of design thinking, whereas the postgraduate diploma is a combination of 3 courses. It starts with design thinking with this course, and it continues to breakthrough innovation, which is SIT, and then finish with the strategic course called Strategy is Innovation, based on the 3-box solution of Professor Vijay Govindrajan, who's the guru for strategic innovation in the United States and all over the world. So this is one of the 3 courses taught in the diploma. Also in the diploma, you have a 4th course, which is the capstone assignment, which we see as a course because it lasts for about 5 to 6 weeks. Lloyd, maybe to push Sophie's question a little further, how useful is design thinking for strategic planning in your experience? Strategic planning is a very, very wide term. When you say strategic planning, you include things like strategic foresighting, for example. And for that, I would actually be using for strategic foresighting, I would be using the 3-box solution, or I would look at the strategy is innovation course that's part of the diploma. So design thinking is less strategic. I will say it right now. It's less strategic and it's more tactical. This course goes through real win worth it because it looks through real, making sure that that ideas that are being developed meet real needs. They can be created in a way that beats the competition, and they're financially viable. It's not a strategy course. It's a course where you have to plan and you have to use best practice tools to ideate and to ensure that the ideas that you create are actually relevant and will get green lighted. What happens after green lighting is already to do with strategic implementation, and that you will actually learn more about strategic implementation in a course such as Strategy is Innovation than in Design Thinking. Benjamin, after this course, can you continue with the postgraduate diploma? I believe you can, but I'm not sure. So Benjamin, I'm going to ask program support to answer that question. Program support, please answer Benjamin's question so that everyone else can see whether they can continue on to the diploma. Adi, does service design also included in this course? Yes, absolutely. So we will look both at design thinking for products and design thinking for services, especially since the majority of our students come from service industry, whether that's finance, banking, insurance, consulting, telecommunications. A large majority comes from services, so we want to make sure that we speak about service design as well. So yes, absolutely, and there's a sufficient modules done where you will actually learn purely about service design and how service design is different from product design, even though they're both based obviously on the same principles. Question, when is the program built to start and what dates? So the dates, I will get you, Amarcha, I will ask program support to answer you. Ari, how we develop connections between design thinking and social practice theories. Well, if you are familiar, Ari, with social practice theories, you will see the connection. The main connection is that design thinking comes to improve society's situation by it's a very powerful tool for dealing with challenges that society has, especially dealing with this concept. I don't know if you heard about it, but you're all more than welcome to Google it. It's called wicked problems. I don't know if you've heard of that before. Wicked problems. Sorry, I think I just misspelled wicked. Yeah, that looks more right with a C. I apologize for that. Wicked problems, and the idea of wicked problems are really tricky problems that are not obvious, and design thinking is great for that. And a lot of social problems are tricky problems. So yes, it definitely connects to that. Does this course take you from inception to development to production to marketing? This course takes you from understanding the problem and the needs to developing a solution concept, prototyping it, saying that it's feasible, and then checking its viability through NPV and ensuring that it also meets design for the environment requirements. So that's the answer to that question. Katya is asking, what are contact details for course support? I will get course support to answer and give you an answer for that as well. Okay, you're being asked to direct all your questions to the Q&A box so that program support can answer you via the Q&A. So please ask your questions there, and then we'll make sure that program support answers you. I can see some people have already started asking in Q&A, and that's great. All right, let's continue. So thank you for those questions. Very good questions. I really enjoyed when the audience is engaged and interested in asking. So thank you for that. I'm not going to read the slide out for you, except to tell you that design thinking is pretty damn important tool for us to know. Actually, it's not even a tool. It's I would call it more a box set of tools, or a toolbox, because it's got multiple tools that you work through in a very pragmatic and very structured way to ensure that you develop new products, new services, new processes, new tools that are relevant to your stakeholders' needs and that will actually bring value through innovation to your stakeholders and to your company. It says here Apple, Virgin, Toyota, etc. But really, that what may have been in the past more when I started in innovation about over 10 years ago, when I first started managing innovation for a multinational company, what I realized is that the large companies were using design thinking and were making a lot of progress with it, but it wasn't that popular. Fast forward to 2020 today, and design thinking, if you don't know design thinking, it's almost like you don't know what a SWOT analysis is, or you don't know what a business model canvas is, or there's some basic tools that as a manager we simply need to know today. And a lot of those tools are found within the toolbox of design thinking. So it's absolutely revolutionary. I've seen it revolutionize businesses, but especially allow companies to much better match their offering, whether it's an incremental innovation, whether they're incrementally increasing and making their product and service better, or whether they're revolutionizing their service or product, what's known as Horizon 3 innovation, and creating brand new businesses, giving brand new services and products which didn't exist before, but are now meeting market needs. For example, Amazon. Right, Amazon going and creating Kindle. It's not just Amazon making Amazon better. It's actually creating new business. Elon Musk, if you know about SpaceX, and you know that SpaceX, the space firm of Elon Musk, is predominantly in the business of delivering graduates to delivering astronauts and supplies to the space station. Anyone know what Elon Musk is now creating as a new business for SpaceX? What the innovation is that he's using SpaceX to launch a brand new business beyond supplying the International Space Station and beyond bringing astronauts there. If you haven't been following the news, it's been in the news in the last couple of weeks. And that is that Elon Musk is seriously considering creating a new telecommunication company and launching satellites, using SpaceX to launch communication satellites into space that will allow him to become a major player in the international communication market, and not just a player in the space industry. So that's very, very interesting, and you can see how if you can follow design thinking, you can see how design thinking is crucial for understanding needs of multiple stakeholders when you are creating new products and services like that, as well as when you're improving them. So you'll understand the real win worth it framework. You'll be able to identify needs, which is crucial for successful design thinking, and you'll get to practice prototyping and creating new products and service concepts, and also we will look at DFE, which is designing for the environment, also known as designing for sustainability. All right. So just to give you a bit of background in terms of where participants come from, I think what we've seen that already specifically in this course, we really have a very widespread of geographies and widespread of industries, although consulting does lead the way. You can see consulting and management, marketing, sales, operations are there. And the great thing, and this is truly, truly important. One of the best things I can tell you about design thinking is that it's industry agnostic. When I say industry agnostic, it means it doesn't care what the industry is. You could be a high school teacher. You can be running a mining operation. You can be running a space exploration company, or a tech company, or a financial consultancy. No matter what you do, you will always have customers, whether they're external or internal. You will have suppliers. You will need to have partners. So those are truths that don't change, irrespective of what industry you're in. So this is why this is such a powerful course, and why the diploma actually is a really powerful diploma, because everything you learn in this course, and if you go on to do a diploma in innovation through Emeritus, it's what you learn is just how applicable everything that you're learning, all the tools that you're learning, to every industry and every job you ever held or will hold, or to any future business you may decide to run. Okay, you can also see here that you are very fortunate that when you take this course and you go into teams for group assignments, there is a lot of experience there. You see that large percentage of the participants have, I would say, 15 plus years experience in the industry. And so that makes for very powerful teams when you do go into a team and learn. So yes, so the experience is, as we said, it's a robust experience. And one of the best things about it is that, unlike courses where you are left on your own simply with videos, here a lot of people are very interested in your success and work very hard to ensure that you succeed. That goes for program support and the great support they provide for logistical issues to the students, and to course leaders such as myself, who are dedicated academic consultants. So we split our time between consulting to industry and teaching these subjects in the academia, because we really, I think we would be bored just doing one of those things. So we really enjoy teaching, but we really enjoy working with customers as well. And we're here for you. So one of the best things about this course is that, you know, we have weekly office hours, you have webinars that give you additional learning. Everything is recorded in case you miss it. All the decks are provided to you. The material that you get in this course is available to you for an entire year after you finish the course. So, and we give you very detailed feedback on your assignments as well. So that's all very, very positive, because what our real interest is for you to learn and succeed and come out of this course with the knowledge that will take you to your next career goal and help you jump into your next career goal. So a little bit about the fees. You can see that here. You're probably familiar with that, but what's nice to see is that you can pay in full or in 2 or 3 installments. As you can see, the course will start in 10 days on the 18th of June with an application deadline 1 day beforehand. You will receive a beautiful MIT Emeritus certificate, digital certificate, as well as it's possible to order a non-digital or a physical certificate as well. So that's great. And I think that, yes, that brings us to the end. So we have 7 minutes for additional questions. I'm more than happy to answer any question you have. As I said, I've been teaching this course for over 3 years. I'm a huge fan of both this course and the diploma program. And I think it's crucial for today's managers to know design thinking. You know, I was doing I won't name the company, I won't name the client, but it's one of the big four consulting companies that I was invited. I was actually invited to India to run a two-day design introduction to design thinking, two-day full session, and to the senior partners of this consultancy. And I can tell you that they were so eager to catch up to what their subordinates, what the millennials that came in with design thinking knowledge from MBAs or from recent courses they've done. There was huge hunger to close that gap, and I think I know for a fact that one of the benefits you will get from this design thinking course is that it will help you close the gap that you currently have in your professional tool set, in your professional knowledge, between where you are and where you should be to deal with the challenges that are obviously all around us in a very volatile and uncertain environment. All right, Maria is asking, can the assignments of the course be used for our own projects? Absolutely. So the group assignments that you will be doing will be based on a project that you choose. We don't set the project topic for you. You need to submit a project topic request as a team, and we need to approve that. Again, my one tip to everyone is don't submit a solution. Don't submit a description of a product or a service. So what you'll submit is a problem or a challenge, right? If you submit a solution instead of submitting a problem or a challenge, what you'll get is a feedback saying that you need to submit an explanation of a problem or a challenge. You said the course is tactical. Does it mean the executives don't need it? Couldn't be further from the truth. By the way, just because something is tactical doesn't mean it's less important than strategic. Okay, so when I say that it's tactical, what I mean is it helps you deal with challenges. It helps you develop better products and services. Do you think executives, Ibrahim, would need to know how to deal with challenges and how to develop better products and services? The answer is absolutely yes. What I mean when I say it's tactical, and this is again by no way denigrating from design thinking, is that when you do design thinking, you are if you just do design thinking and you don't do anything else, and you're not aware of how design thinking fits in to a strategic innovation approach, then your design thinking is going to be effective at specific points. It's not gonna create a major change in the organization if you don't make it part of the culture of the organization. So just using design thinking to put out fires in specific problems that you have in the organization is tactical. If, however, your design thinking is part of an overall strategy, then it becomes one of the forces for strategic change in your company. Okay, I really want to make that clear. Just by itself, it will help you deal with specific fires and put out fires and deal with specific problems and issues. However, as part of an overall innovation strategy, it will lift you and lift you and the company to the next stage that you want to be in. What are the assignments individuals or in the group? And Maria, they're both. There are individual assignments and group assignments. Lloyd is asking, what is the place of design sprints in the bigger picture? Design sprints is just a way of describing design thinking processes. There isn't really much more I can say to that. It's just a way of taking design thinking and let's say doing it in 5 days. right? So you set the challenge and you set a design sprint, and for 5 days, you and your colleagues work on that and only that, as opposed to taking another approach, for example, where you're doing maybe 1 or 2 design thinking days spread over the week, over a period of maybe 1 month. Okay, so that's the concept of design sprint. It's how to compress a design thinking project into a very short period of time to get very quick results. And of course, there's always disadvantages and advantages when you're trying to do things quicker. Camila is asking a question, and you can't see it because it is set to all panelists, and it is what hours it's going to be on for the live classes. The hours are usually midday or 1 p.m. UTC, which is normally the same as Greenwich Mean Time. So around 1 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Okay, I think we have 1 minute left, so I have time for some maybe 1 or 2 last questions. D is asking, are we required to do real field observations with real life participant stakeholders? Okay, if I didn't make that clear, I am deeply, deeply apologetic. Absolutely, Adi. This is what you'll be doing when I said that you need to speak to stakeholders and you need to understand what the real needs are. Then absolutely, you need to go out to the field. You need to find people to interview. You need to qualify them, and you need to interview people because it's going to be a real life assignment. So yes, absolutely, you will do that. Of course, things change a little bit with COVID. The last group that went through because of heavy lockdown restrictions did their interviews via Zoom video. And of course, it made it extra constraints and made it more difficult for them. But my main concern is your safety and your health. So we will never force anyone to do face-to-face interviews if it's a health risk, and we will always ask you to follow whatever the laws and regulations for lockdown exist in your country. And if that means that you are in lockdown, it simply means that you will need to be creative of how to find interview subjects, and you will interview them via Zoom. Maybe you can observe them via Zoom as well. That could be possible and interesting. All right, we're all out of time. So I want to thank you all very, very much. It's been a really great session. I really enjoyed your questions. I hope to see you all in this great design thinking course, and hope that you will be also interested in the diploma that continues this into SIT Breakthrough Innovation, and then set up with strategic innovation, and then you'll see how the whole picture fits in, and that's really, really exciting. So I'm really excited, really looking forward to seeing you all during the session. Keep safe and happy. Thank you, Maria. Also to you and to everyone else, keep safe for you and your families, and looking forward to seeing you as we begin the course on the 18th. Take care, everyone, and thank you once again for joining and participating. It's been a real pleasure to be here with you. See you soon. Oh, and thank you to program support, who've been doing such a great job answering everyone's questions as well. Bye for now.